All right, so this video is going to be about the jumbo size or extra large blanket. Basically, a jumbo size Moreygami tool is what you're going to use for shelter, or it could be something as simple as this oversized quilt. It's actually a poncho liner, blaze orange on the inside, just black. It has a hood and it snaps to my Wilderness Innovations poncho. So it just snaps in. That would serve as a personal shelter, and it kind of counts as jumbo, but what we're going to do is a series of videos. We're going to talk about what you'd use for like a quick shelter. We don't really do the tents very often. Sometimes we'll combine our tarp shelters with the bug net, but this is basically what we're talking about. And then you'll be able to see some of the other videos about the individual types of the 4 tarp configurations we recommend that you use with Uncivilized Vitality. Remember, there's a lot of choices in different shelters, and there's endless variations, but you end up with paralysis through analysis. You're always trying to find the better version or a different method to do it. You really just need the solid 4. You can start there, or you can just throw up a tent. One of the first things you should have with you is some sort of rain gear. I just use a poncho. This is just like a US GI poncho, but it's an aftermarket, more of a heavy-duty Cordura. This one in particular is made by Wilderness Innovations, Perry Peacock and those guys. It's got a hood. It's really tough. I've actually used this as a ground tarp before. I lay this out on the ground to sit on it to stay out of the wet or the snow, to sit on or even lay out to sleep on. It's got this poncho liner that's the same size and also has a hood that I can snap to the inside of my poncho to use as a like a sleeping bag, an extra waterproof blanket, or even my coat if I need one in the winter. The cool thing about these Wilderness Innovations poncho survival shelters systems is that it's got this channel at the bottom. You can run some cordage through that, draw those tight, and you can turn this poncho into a hammock and sleep up off the ground. I thought that was really a neat feature, so I always have my poncho with me. I'll make a quick A-frame or lean-to out of this. We'll show you in some other videos. And then I've got a quick shelter with my rain gear. Sometimes I'll take a dedicated hammock to stay off the ground, mostly in really wet or buggy seasons, which is spring, summer, fall, and winter here in Michigan. So a good a dedicated hammock is a great idea for a large size shelter. The hammock is only for sleeping in, though. Unless you're using the survival poncho survival system, it won't really be used as a tarp to keep the weather off of you. A lot of people use these, which is just a heavy-duty mylar blanket. One of these so-called space blankets, got that reflective heavy mylar on one side and like a heavy plastic on the other. And they're pretty, I mean, they're pretty tough. You can configure these in a variety of ways to keep the weather off, or I always carry one and use it as a ground cloth under my shelter or under my hammock to step on. I keep it in the bag it came with sort of a simple pitch kit. I've got 3 or 4 aluminum stakes and a hank of bank line in case I wanted to rig it as a tarp instead of just a ground cloth. And in the case I do use that as a ground cloth, I keep a drum liner, a 55-gallon 5mm drum liner in there to then replace that as the ground sheet, making a shelter for myself. And then just one of these cheap mylar emergency blankets that I would attempt to cover myself with, or maybe make stuff it with some of the dead leaves and make a little improvised hobo sack. So this little package, I typically just pull this out, or one of these out, and use it as a ground cloth, but it could, in this case, make a quick emergency shelter system. And it's not that big a package to carry around. So those are in, also another part of your jumbo kit should include some sort of ground pad, a way to insulate yourself and protect yourself from heat loss through the ground if you're not in a hammock. So you got to have some sort of ground pad. A lot of people like the inflatable air pads. I've had this Z-Rest from Thermarest for, I don't know, 25 years. Just folds up. I sit on it sometimes, use it as an improvised seat. I can kneel on it when the ground's wet. A lot of uses to that. So besides the emergency applications of a shelter out of my poncho, or even this self-contained, again, emergency poncho shelter system. Typically when we go out, we're just going to make our shelters out of a couple simple things. Just a simple, this is a 10 by 10 tarp. It's got a lot of different tie outs on it. It's waterproof, windproof, and we'll show you in the video how we can set this up. You can use a DD tarp, 3 by 3 meter. I think this is a knockoff version called a Free Soldier. You can get these on Amazon or online for less than $50. So we use those a lot in our Uncivilized Vitality group outings, because new people are really rough on the equipment. So these cheap ones work really well. So you're going to combine this with a pitch kit, which is a variety of cordage with a ridge line and some tarp, some tent stakes, or you can improvise those on the spot. But this is our main shelter we use in UV, and we're going to show you some other videos with the 4 main configurations: the wedge, the A-frame, lean-to, and then what we call the cave. Another version of that is this Dyneema tarp that I use from Hyperlight Mountain Gear. This is great. It's a little smaller. It's 8.5 by 8.5, but it is made of that Dyneema fabric, which is super thin, super crazy lightweight if you've never held one. But it's very highly puncture resistant, completely waterproof. Very spendy though, and it does make a little noise flapping around the breeze. And in the bag I throw my stakes and my cordage kit. We call it a pitch kit. So I usually throw that in my bag when we're out, and I'm able to cover my hammock, make the 4 different configurations of shelter depending on weather conditions. And it's a nice small package, and ironically it's lighter and more compact than my emergency shelter kit that I would throw in my bag to take on some of these adventures. So check out some of the other videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and share this, and then check out the 4 configuration videos. And we're just going to demonstrate, instead of running through with all these different tarp versions, I might show you a tarp shelter with the emergency kit, or maybe we'll set up the PSS poncho hammock at some point and show you how that works. But we're just going to run the other 4 videos with a basic 10 by 10 tarp and a small pitch kit.